Hello everyone, thanks for coming. This is our 13th Seattle Angel Conference.
Next up, we have Nirav Shah from Sentinel Healthcare, and Steve Ward will be his diligence lead.
Hi, I'm Nirav Shah, founder of Sentinel Healthcare and a neurologist by training. We're really thankful to be here at the Seattle Angel Conference Finals, where we've gotten to work with a great group of investors. Our goal is to make healthcare within reach. We decided to get interested in the biggest problem in healthcare, which is hypertension. It affects 1 in 3 adults and causes more deaths than all cancers combined through heart attack, stroke, kidney disease, and eye problems. We think FDA-approved wearable devices offer significant hope, but are underutilized. For patients, this is a silent problem, which is why it's called the silent epidemic. It doesn't cause overt symptoms. There's no meaningful data that people have about themselves, and it takes many visits to control because of the lifelong progression of hypertension. For clinicians like myself, it's also a big problem because white coat hypertension in the clinic could be from stress, from seeing our white coats. Remote monitoring devices could be too expensive currently, and reimbursements aren't in line with the time it takes to manage patients. Despite all of this, Medicare and every major insurance provider has created a program called chronic care management because of the epidemics in chronic care in the Medicare population. This market is a $51 billion market alone, available today to 64 million people in the US. However, less than 1% of all Medicare beneficiaries have ever been enrolled because this is an untapped opportunity. Clinicians don't have the time, the software, or the hardware to be compliant with the Medicare regulations, which is our solution. A device-agnostic platform for FDA-approved wearable devices that integrates into the healthcare ecosystem, manages the data and the reimbursements for the providers. This is a win-win turnkey solution. Let's meet Bridget. She is a patient with hypertension. She would show up to the clinic, get enrolled in our app, receive a wearable device we would cover and pay for, and go home and participate with daily home hypertension measurements. She would get remote monitoring analysis and treatment with coaching and advice from our remote nursing team. That team would collaborate with her primary care doctor and package the information that we provide monthly in a note. That note would be provided to her clinic, which would be signed and sent to CCM Medicare for reimbursement. We would share the revenue with the primary clinic doctor for providing the turnkey service. Bridget would be healthier as she moves towards managing her hypertension. So this is a win-win-win for all. We get data and reimbursements. The clinic generates data that they couldn't have otherwise, and Bridget gets healthier. We've put together a great founding team. Some of you have met Noah, our CTO, who moved from Boston to work with us on this. He's a product and technical leader who's built healthcare products for years. Clifford Fauner is a good college friend of mine who's got large expertise in data science as an algorithm modeler. He's currently a Medicare-funded quality improvement consultant whose team has directly testified in front of Congress on complex reimbursements. Jorge Sanchez, who flew up to meet some of the due diligence team last week, has already built a hospitalist company, and he knows what it takes to design a traditional service model that works with technology. He's our medical director. And Tanzid Shams, who's an East Coast neuroscience director for a 29 hospital system, is working with us on business development. And he's been responsible for a lot of the strategic partnerships I'll share at the end of the pitch. Let's turn our attention to the product overview in a high level. The goal of Sentinel is to provide a scalable approach to healthcare and make it within reach for a lot of patients. By doing an asynchronous approach to healthcare and collecting data continuously, as opposed to once every 6 months or once a year, we aim for nurses to be able to provide continuous checkpoints in healthcare for patients throughout their journey. We've designed a dashboard and a mobile app so that our nurses can manage patients quickly and efficiently. But from the patient's perspective who's participating and entering information into the app, it's a seamless and individualized experience so they feel like they're getting the attention they deserve. But beneath the hood, we've designed an automated triage and action system so that we can categorize and focus on at-risk patients. And if someone doesn't participate or forgets to log blood pressures, we've designed a mini social net we call caregiver mode to enable patients and their family members or their caregivers to also participate. To our knowledge, this is the first time a mini social net has been created through digital health like this because it has to comply with regulations. All of this data will be packaged because at the end of the day, Sentinel is tracking blood pressure and physiology, the medications to predict hypertension. Our goal is to understand the physiology of patients through wearable remote devices, and these algorithms could be used to be licensed, but more importantly for us, we can serve the patients who are in our platform better if we can understand when they're going to be hypertensive and decrease the amount of time they spend there. Our nurses are a significant part of this platform and they have to provide some phone contact through the CCM model. However, to decrease the cost of nursing, our goal is to provide a multimodal strategy through multimedia. We're going to have scripted messaging so that patients can interact with us through HIPAA-compliant messaging in the app, send them video content, and we're going to develop a system so that the audio from the phone could be interacting with the patient because it's a better user interface for elderly people, just like Alexa or Siri would. As we move forward, our goal is to become a data analytics company. And to do this, the next two products we're going to release to the clinics we've already signed over the next year is retinal imaging and an EKG wearable device that's being submitted for FDA approval. Retinal imaging is an important part of hypertension as well. Medicare announced reimbursements for this as of 2017, so this is a new $20 billion market, but there aren't enough ophthalmologists in the world to look at all the hypertensive and diabetic eyes. So this will be our next focus, and it'll work well with the initial focus, because now we can image people's eyes annually as expected by Medicare and generate reimbursements on 2 levels, and provide outcomes data so that we can understand what it's like for people who participate in Sentinel as we decrease our hypertension. The EKG wearable will also provide multimodal data as we understand someone's complex physiology from hypertension to their heart function and perhaps their eyes. As you can understand, as we distribute our platform to clinics and to patients, we'll get more data. And with that data, we'll have more defense through machine learning. We've already started our own internal research on this through our team on hypertension prediction as well as hypertensive retinopathy. As we get more data, we'll be able to develop stronger neural nets and support vector machines to enable this. Let's talk a little bit about how the business functions in brass tacks. So you may ask, how much does this cost? And I've been saying this is a win-win-win. It costs nothing due to how we've designed it. It's a revenue-sharing service that's turnkey to help patients generate revenue with clinicians on day one. The value of a patient managed is 50-50 through revenue sharing. So each patient we manage annually would be $258 a year. Therefore, 1,000 patients managed per year would be $258,000. The other side of that coin is how much does it cost us to manage a patient? Currently, that's $84, and that'll drop to $60 per year per patient as we develop the multimedia strategy I just described. Our company is young. We were founded less than a year ago, and since then we've developed hardware integration, software, presented pilot data at the American Heart Association, acquired customers, navigated the FDA, launched our post-revenue, and ready to scale to 500 patients by the end of this calendar year. Since we first presented in March at the Seattle Angel Conference quarterfinals, we've had significant changes and updates to our team and traction. First is we've hired a nurse because I can't manage more than 25 patients a month. So this nurse will take on some of the management off my hands. We also have 3 more nurses ready to go as soon as we launch and get more patients. We've also got 2 new clinics launched. We started with 1 when we entered SAC, and now we have 3 total as of today, where Jorge is in Florida launching another clinic. We've currently enrolled 26 patients. We've invoiced $2,500, and we have a $2,200 paid pilot, which is the Florida pilot at which Jorge is today. We've got 6 clinics signed and awaiting to be launched. This is the challenge. This is why we need the Angel's Leap of Faith to help us operationalize and bring these clinics online faster. The early metrics for the patients that I manage, the first 20, 23, have 100% satisfaction. Every patient loves the platform. And this is a sticky group of patients. They have 80% normal blood pressures at 1 month. These are people who started off hypertensive but achieved normal blood pressures through the platform, which we think is a really powerful metric. I've already averted 1 ER admission, which is also really great, and potentially a $5,000 to $10,000 cost savings. The user metrics are also really phenomenal. We are engaging 4 to 6 new patients per week on average, and as we bring on more clinics, that's going to increase. Our weekly active users currently is 100%. Every patient is logging blood pressures at least on a weekly basis. We have 255 blood pressures logged in just the past week, and no patients have dropped out of the platform currently. We think this is a really powerful sign that we're making an impact in these people's lives. The last thing I want to turn our attention to is the sales and marketing strategy, because the key for Sentinel to succeed is to distribute the platform and get many clinics on board quickly so that we can achieve our long-term goals of being a remote data analytics company. This is our sales funnel. We've only approached a few clinics and a couple systems, and we've converted 6 to letters of intent, 3 at which we're live. It only takes us about 1 month to convert from first contact to letter of intent. Over the past quarter, we've established many strategic partnerships. Welltality is a remote management company that has 4,600 patients that qualify for CCM. If we can operationalize this letter of intent, which we're going to do next week with them in Florida, this could be what gets us to Series A. We've also signed a hospital pilot for just a software licensing deal, and we've partnered with a mobile EMR that's just given us a letter of intent. These ecosystem partners in digital health, as digital health consolidates, will be really important as we all work towards acquiring patients and customers together faster. So when you think about Sentinel, understand, we believe we have product market fit. We're already in the marketplace. We have significant growth, revenue, and a long-term vision. Now we need your help making healthcare within reach. Thank you.
Thank you, Nirav. My name is Steve Ford. I was the due diligence lead for Sentinel, along with help from Arian, who in the audience, and Yoko, who is our who will be our chair, I think, next term. For the due diligence team, we did a couple of review points. Obviously, we looked at the market opportunity, and I think, as you mentioned, quite large, easily 40 million plus, maybe 50 million Americans diagnosed with hypertension as one of their primary, medical health issues. So I think, no question, it's quite a large market. We looked quite deeply at the team itself. I think one great thing is deep domain knowledge. Right? We cannot dispute that having somebody who does this, works with hypertension on a daily basis in his clinic, understands the problems both from a clinician point of view, but also understands kind of the morass of the business of how difficult it is to monitor this at cost. So we really like that aspect of the team. The other part that we didn't really talk about was that really in less than a year, or more like 6 months or so, got from, and with no real technical co-founder, this is hard to do actually, got to a working MVP product. And so I think that shows us sort of a lot of fortitude and sort of gumption and ability to move forward. And then the second part, last thing we looked at closely was sort of the economics. So we really do like the economics. The cost of delivering the service looks reasonable. The cost of doing sales looks reasonable, and the split between Sentinel and the clinics we think will be a high selling point. Obviously, you're walking into a clinic and essentially saying, how can we help you make more money? So we like that kind of build opportunity. Certainly some challenges around scaling. I think everybody has some scaling challenges. It will be difficult to sell to every clinic in the United States, but there's no reason that thousands of clinics aren't within grasp. So I think we do have some questions, though, and I think we'll ask a few questions. So you touched on it a little bit in in your presentation, but what we feel like the sales pipeline here is going to be kind of maybe one of the most key aspects, and getting to an early sales pipeline and an early aggressive sales is, I think, going to sort of help separate you from some of the competition. So if you want to talk to that for a second. Yeah, thanks, Steve. We really appreciate the kind words and working with you as well throughout this process. So for us, as we've talked to other VCs who've worked in the space of chronic disease, one of the biggest challenges they've pointed us to is the cost of customer acquisition. And so we've decided, instead of going to big enterprise clinics like Swedish, where I currently work, or Virginia Mason, or similar, we've decided to go for the low-hanging clinics. The other strategy is, as we get 10 to 15 of these clinics, we think we'll have enough numbers to demonstrate that we can operationalize this anywhere, and then we can go to bigger systems and just hand over the product and show them our procedures and strategies so that it's a licensing of just software. But also, we could just go to insurance companies. So that's sort of our 2019, early 2020 goal. Okay, cool. One of the cost things that came up was, I think, something that really sort of separates you guys from, say Fitbit or somebody like that, or AppleCare would be, you guys are actually going to have nursing help and generate the notes themselves. That would be the billable events. But we're a little bit concerned about the cost of the nursing, so if you could talk to that a little bit. Yeah, sure. So through the due diligence, we talked about the cost of nursing. Currently, for us, the nurses are, the 4 that we've got signed on would cost $20 an hour. But the national averages, at least in Seattle, for a physical nurse is substantially higher. And so our goal is to decrease the cost of nursing through that multimedia strategy that I was describing, so that each nurse spends less time with the patient who's just being monitored, but more time will be allocated towards those who actually need the attention. So as we shift that focus and try to understand the logistics and operations through video content, interactive voice that resembles Siri, Alexa, but is HIPAA compliant, and through interactive messaging, we think that cost of nursing will go down from $84 a year to $60, increasing the profitability of the company. So at the current metric, at patient 237, just in terms of cost of goods, we become profitable based on our current terms. So Okay, cool. So I think one of the things we really liked about working with you guys was how much progress you made literally just in like the 6 weeks that we were working with you guys. I think you guys did a great job of sort of taking our feedback and kind of running with it a little bit. Can you talk about the next week or two? I mean, how you keep the momentum going? I think we've really seen some great progress. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to go to the Bay Area and start working with lawyers and other potential investors, and then the team's going to split up and go to Florida. So we're going to work on the Welltality deal, which I kind of highlighted at the end, which has 4,600 potential patients. That's going to have to be an API integration as well as operationalizing how we actually work with these clinics and get directly to these patients and maybe bypass the clinic entirely. And then beyond that, through June and the next few months, we're just going to work on operations to build the platform, build the service lines so that we can serve the growing need of patients that we're getting, because we're getting patients faster than we expected, to be honest. And so we need to hire nurses and start training them up.
Awesome, terrific. So from the due diligence side, we really enjoyed working with you guys, and best of luck. So.
Thank you.
Hi, this is John Seacrest. I'm the founder of the Seattle Angel Conference. We create new angel investors with an experiential angel investing program.